Would you like to know the secrets of money that are written in books and told in our society? If your answer is yes, then watch this video. I'll be as brief as possible to give you the most important info. Okay, let's go. I've got bad news and good news for you. The bad news is that you aren't born to be rich, and the chances of success are extremely low. Most of us grew up in poor families. We didn't have rich teachers. There were no rich people around us, and none of us has the habits to help to get rich. The good news is that most rich, and even the richest people in the world, started from the same situation and still managed to succeed using the principles that we'll talk about today. The first principle is that the solution isn't obvious. That is, the way that can lead to prosperity isn't really obvious to the majority of people. But there's a nuance, as with a Rubik's Cube. If you try to assemble it without knowing the principles of the process, you might twist it endlessly and be completely disappointed. You might decide that it can't be assembled. You might spend several hours and decide that it's just a ripoff, that it's not for you, that it's total bullshit. But here comes the person who knows the algorithm, the sequence of actions, how to assemble the cube properly. He makes just a few moves, and the cube is assembled within 2 minutes. It's very similar to financial success. If you make the right moves, you become more successful, richer, and closer to financial freedom each day. That's why we'll talk about these exact moves, these correct steps to attain your aim. There's no better time than here and now. Very often, we wait for the opportune time when we'll have no debts, no need to spend lots of money on traveling, children, something really necessary. And we think, only then I'll start to invest somewhere, buy assets, get the hang of investment, etc. But only when there'll be an opportune time. It can be compared to a card game. For example, poker. Of course, we would like to play having 4 aces, but in actual life, we're forced to play in a different situation, when we have a bunch of the most different cards, and still manage to win, even with them. Even in a situation where we don't have the most ideal conditions. Because there are no ideal conditions. You have to start now with what you have. That is, with all the resources you have right now. In that situation, you look for an opportunity, how to make the first step to financial freedom. There's such a term as a window of opportunity, the time when everyone regularly has lots of different opportunities, to earn money, to invest somewhere, to create an asset, etc. A short period during which the window of opportunity opens for you. Usually, the window of opportunity doesn't last too long. Just for a few days, sometimes hours or even minutes, when you take this chance. But you aren't ready for it. And what does it mean to be ready? It means having the resources to take this opportunity when the window opens. It's about being prepared and preparing yourself beforehand. What does it mean to prepare yourself beforehand? It means having some reserves, money, time, right people, information which you gathered beforehand. Don't wait for the opportunity to start to invest, for example in real estate, and only then save money, time, gather all the right information, people, and so on. Do it beforehand. Get ready for the opportunity beforehand, and then you'll take it. But the opportunities last for a limited period, days, weeks, sometimes hours, or even seconds when you can take them. After that, the window closes, and the opportunities are slipping away. You're missing your chance. Long game. What type of thinking do you have? Poor people think small. They think of a moment. Let me call it the moment. What does the moment mean? You want to feel good right now, and everything you earn, you'll squander at this very moment. You don't think about the future. A habit that leads to financial success is to think about the future, to think ahead and invest in your future. What does it mean? It means a conflict between these two parts. That is, if you think about the future, You have to act in the present. For example, to put aside some money you earn on a deposit account. Or, if you know enough about financial instruments, you start to invest in stocks or real estate. You get the hang of cryptocurrencies. You find out some other business opportunities, how to make money. Most people live for today. For example, when they buy on credit a new phone, TV, car, or anything else, they don't think about how it will affect their future. As a result, they lose, just because they don't calculate a few moves ahead in their actual life. Imagine a chess game. One chess player calculates only one move ahead. Where should I move that piece? Another player calculates several moves ahead and thinks, how will this affect the situation in the next move, or 2, or 10? As soon as you start thinking a few moves ahead, you begin to calculate, how will my actions today affect our financial position in a month, a year, or a few years? And then you'll immediately begin to win this financial race. But the main question here is, how do you live? Do you live for today, or do you start to create your financial future? You begin to realize that the future isn't what happens to you, but what you build step by step. This is a ladder that you climb. At first, you earn some money. You put them aside and then spend them to buy, for example, a real estate. This real estate starts to bring you some income. Making use of this income, you can afford to get new assets, etc. There are lots of people with a salary of 40,000 rubles, but they have the newest iPhone because they think it's cool. They really can't afford it, but they buy it on credit because they crave for this and want to get it right here, right now. But due to this, they deprive themselves of the future. Why? Because when they buy a new iPhone or a new car on credit, they have to pay for it for many months, or even years. They overpay for it many times. Plus, in case of a car loan, they've got high expenditures on car service, like insurance, maintenance, and so on. That is the main choice here, is between good for now, but bad later, and slightly worse for now, but really good later. This is what differs poor people from rich people. Unhealthy attitude toward money. This is a big problem. How was money treated in your family? Remember when you were little? How did your relatives talk about them? Did they talk that money was never enough? That rich people were bad people who had stolen or took that money from someone? Or did their attitude toward money was positive, as to something that you can make with your work, earn, and gradually ensure your well-being? What's the issue here? If you open Forbes magazine and look at the people at the top, thinking of what kind of bastards, scoundrels, and liars they are, then it will be very difficult for you to get there, because your thinking determines your life and its conditions. If you get into your head that rich people are bad people, then your subconsciousness will push you away from this. You shouldn't get there. It'll do you no good. You better be like everyone else. Therefore, changes in your thinking, attitude toward money, are one of the most important steps that allow you to move forward to financial success. Modeling financial losers. Whose money advice do you listen to? Do your relatives, friends, work colleagues give you advice? Are they financially successful people? Have they become rich? Do you have such people in your surroundings? If not, then it's likely you look up to those who surround you, acting just like them. If they don't have money, neither will you. For this reason, if you want to move forward to wealth and financial success, you need to have people who know how to treat money in your surroundings. If you rely on their experience, communicate with them, you'll build the right attitude, the right ordinary habits. You'll find out some secret features, moves, technologies, and ways to make money, or to invest. Therefore, you need to form your circle of financially successful people. To find such people, make a deal with them to be able to communicate, ask questions, maybe even remotely at first, not necessarily live. This is one of the most important issues that determine your financial success. Emotional spending. Have you ever had a case when you went to the store to buy something inexpensive for 500 rubles and left spending 5,000 rubles? For instance, a girl comes to a shopping center to buy gloves, but leaves there having bought a hat, skirt, gloves, boots, etc. This is emotional spending. Or a man, for example, comes to a hardware store. He wants to buy one small thing, for instance, a mouse for his laptop. But then he buys a mouse, laptop, huge TV, stereo system speakers, and something else. You understand that there's no need to spend such amount, that you have to save money for some other tasks. But here you go to the shopping center, and that's it. You're swept away by your emotions. You don't control yourself. You spend money like water. If this is about you, if you are familiar with this situation, then you need to change it as soon as possible. As long as you can't control your emotions and make a decision based on emotions, you will lose. This turns to a situation when a person can earn good money, has enough money to live on, but all that money is squandered on day-to-day costs, after which a person starts to realize, why did I buy so much? I didn't really need this. This wow effect from buying a new thing, car, gadget, something else, wears off in a few days, weeks, or months if it's something really cool. But the financial problems that come from the fact that you spent much more money than you should have continue for many months or even years. Is money synonymous with wealth? For most people, yes. Money is the very wealth that everyone dreams of. Usually, it's about some specific amount. For example, when you ask someone about financial goals, a person says, I want to earn 1,000,000 rubles or $1 million. The problem is that money itself isn't wealth. Actually, they depreciate very quickly. For example, let's take 1,000 rubles in 2014, before the crisis, and 1,000 rubles after the crisis. This is a completely different money, which dropped approximately 50%. Yes, this is the same 1,000 rubles, but you can buy with it far less. Why? Because there is inflation, which eats up this very money with incredible speed. Therefore, your task is to change the rules of the game. Transfer money to assets, which either rise in value or create new cash flow. Otherwise, the system will constantly play against you, and you'll try to go up the escalator, which is moving down, because inflation will constantly reduce your savings. Therefore, look for the opportunity to transfer money into assets. As soon as you find at least a few ways to do this, you will begin to get rich really fast. Assets and liabilities. What's the difference? Assets are something that brings you money. Liabilities are something that takes it from you. This isn't about formal accounting terminology, but about how things happen in our everyday lives. Is a yacht an asset? Someone thinks so, but it's obviously not, because this asset is pulling a huge amount of money out of your pocket. The yacht must be serviced. It's necessary to buy fuel for it and pay insurance. Not to mention lots of other additional expenses. Another example is when you invest in real estate. You might say, I can't afford it. Real estate is very expensive. But to purchase, for example, a studio apartment worth 1,000,000 rubles, you don't need this amount. You need only about 5 to 10% of it, or 50,000 to 100,000 rubles, to take out a mortgage and purchase the apartment. Today, the standard down payment rates are 15 to 20%, but you can find a 5 to 10% rate if you try hard. The most important thing here is the way you manage your money. What do you think when you unexpectedly make a significant amount of money? How will you spend it? How will you buy a new laptop, phone, a fur coat, or go on vacation? Or is the first thing that comes in your mind about how to invest intelligently this money, so that they begin to make new money, so that the money you get apart from the necessary minimum could be used to make an asset that will continue to work for you independent from where, how, and what you do. Therefore, look for the opportunity to transfer money into assets. As soon as you find at least a few ways to do this, you'll begin to get rich really fast. You know what they say, a penny saved is a penny earned. You must have heard this saying, but it really works. Once you cease to take into account all your expenses in detail, your money starts to slip away very quickly. Most likely, many of you are familiar with the situation in business or in your career, when you seem to have earned a noticeable amount of money for a month, and then it vanishes in just a few days or weeks, and you think, where is it? There should be a lot, but there is very little money left in the wallet. The same thing happens in business when you don't keep a detailed account of daily expenses, how much money has gone, how much has come. Very quickly, a financial mess starts to grow and money just disappears, and vice versa. When you take everything into account, calculate different scenarios. For instance, how you can spend money or resources which are always limited. You'll never have a situation when you have too much money and don't know how to use it. However, in most cases, people have a different situation. And your task is to keep records of income in detail, to count where and how much money will you earn, how to increase this income and cash flow, where and how should you direct this money. That means to do budgeting, planning for the future. How much money should you spend on your daily needs, on buying, for example, furniture or some other items that you need? How much money would you invest, etc.? You may invest very small amounts at first. As for me, I began my journey when I was a student. I'd started to invest 1,000 rubles every month. Certainly, it was an insignificant sum, but the most important thing here is to form the habit of regular investing in your future. When you have this habit, you begin to move faster to financial success. Credits. There are good credits and bad credits. Bad credits are those that make you waste more and more money. For example, a car loan. You've bought a car on credit. You've got loan payments. You've got insurance. You've got maintenance, gasoline fees, and so on. This loan is a complete ripoff. Positive loans are those that bring you money. For instance, you've taken some money and purchased a real estate property so that it starts to bring you more money from renting it than you pay on a mortgage loan. Someone may think that this is impossible. Actually, it's absolutely possible. You just need to know how to do it right. There's a good saying that a banker is somebody who lends you an umbrella and takes it away as soon as it starts raining. With credits, the situation is absolutely the same. You have to avoid taking a loan when you have a difficult financial situation, because you'll only aggravate the situation. If you're in a bad financial situation, it means that your actions are ineffective. You're doing something wrong. But instead of changing your everyday habits, you begin to use a gimmick. I'll take money from the bank, and this will help me. Actually, it won't. It will only make things worse. Thus, you need to change the behavior. And vice versa. When everything's fine, you earn good money and have assets. Banks will gladly offer you money, an umbrella, because they see that you're a paying, reliable customer. Hence, it makes sense to them to trust you, as you won't flush their money down the drain. Invest in yourself. There's one type of investment which is the most interesting among all the others. This is an investment in yourself, in your education, in your brain. Because the more you invest in yourself, the more knowledge and skills that you possess are combined with each other. You can explore different areas and find the most interesting and unique opportunities at the interface of these areas. Therefore, the more you invest in yourself, the more profit it will bring. But here is one important nuance. If you want to get a good return on your investment in education, you should learn the skills that make money. These are the most valuable investments. How to break out of the rat race? I'll give you my algorithm, which I consider the most rational and working. The first is to keep track of your finances. That means to take into account all the income and, most importantly, all expenses, what you spend your money on. The second is to control spending. Don't allow yourself to do emotional spending, to spend too much by your standards. Emotional spending should be controlled. The third is to minimize credits. Bad credits, I mean. As I've already told, there are good and bad credits. Good credits bring money. For example, you've got a mortgage on a real estate, and this property brings you more than you pay on a loan. Bad credits are consumer credits, car credits. Obviously, they should be minimized. Building positive habits that can lead you to financial success. For example, regularly putting aside part of your income, investing in a business, real estate, education, etc. Buy assets. Increase the number of assets. Minimize liabilities. Make a list of liabilities that you have now and how you can gradually cover these liabilities with different types of assets. It's perfect when at some point you achieve a balance, when your assets fully cover all your current liabilities, expenditures on apartment, food, car, etc. In this case, you really achieve financial freedom because you don't need to struggle every day to earn some money to live on. Education. Real estate can be lost. It can be nationalized. A house can burn down. A car can be stolen. Nevertheless, no one will ever take your brain from you. Therefore, investments in education are usually investments that have the highest ROI, return on investment. The only issue here is to choose what to learn. There are different types of skills. Some skills make good money. Investing in these skills has the highest ROI. Creation of value. That is, you get rich when you generate more and more values in the world. For instance, when you start a business that does something good, something useful for a large number of people, the more values you bring to the world, the more profit you get in return. And of course, leverage. You have to use financial leverage. It's really difficult to do everything yourself. If you try to solve all the problems yourself, to find the information yourself, to use only your financial resources, you won't move fast. But if you use financial leverage, the knowledge of other people, hire a team or form a team to achieve goals, then it turns out that you can do much more and much faster. Here are 8 steps to achieve your goals. As soon as you start following these steps, you'll begin to move to your financial freedom and success way quickly. Let's go! Friends, I hope this video was useful to you. Thanks so much for watching it. Please write in the comments on what did you find useful, interesting, your questions, or any other ideas and comments. Below this video, you'll find links to several additional materials on the topic of personal finance, investing, and moving towards financial freedom. Explore them. I hope this will be useful to you. Good luck and financial well-being to you.